Hey guys, welcome back to the SoCal Sports Report with my co-host Ailis Garcia. I'm Bobby DeMuro, bringing you yet another week of big stories here in Southern California sports, and we've got a lot of good ones today. Clipper stuff, Dodger stuff, and we are going to NorCal, talk a little bit about the Oakland Athletics. But Ailis, let's begin with your favorite sport, I'm saying that sarcastically, basketball.
Oh man, well, thank goodness it's almost over, right?
Yeah, for you. For me, it's just getting good. We've got playoffs coming around.
No, this is when it does get good, though, you know. I'll watch now.
It does get very good now. So the Lakers are out. Breaking news, they suck. The Clippers, however, do not suck, and they are good. And it looks like, we're filming this a week in advance, it looks like they're going to get the 3 seed. The final seeds will obviously be determined at the end of the year. But whatever it is, the Clippers are in good position to maybe go far in the playoffs. They're not going the distance, I'm going to tell you that right now.
I agree with you.
How far do the Clippers go? Second round, conference finals, where do the Clippers end up in the playoffs?
I think they're good for the first round, but that's about it.
That's about it after the first round. I'm 100% in agreement with you. I'm sorry, Clippers fans, they're not going to win it all. They're not going to win the Western Conference. They are not better than San Antonio. They're not better than Oklahoma City. They might not be better than Houston if you put the two of them in a 7-game series, although I'm not sure that they're going to meet. They can beat the bottom 4, Portland, Phoenix, Memphis, whoever that turns out to be. They don't play defense.
Yeah.
They don't play good enough defense. Look, they're 6th in field goal defense, which is good, and it's better than I thought, but they're 17th in points allowed, which tells me that they're playing very fast, which we knew.
No, I agree.
Lob City, they're trying to play quick. Here's the thing about playing quick. It doesn't work in the playoffs. See the 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013 Denver Nuggets. They played quick for years. It never worked in the playoffs because eventually you run into Oklahoma City or San Antonio.
Right. They want to slow it down. They want to, slow down the pace a little bit.
And they impose their will better than the Clippers.
Exactly, yeah.
And look, they needed a big man. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They needed a big man on D. They got Danny Granger, who's a fine player. He's not a big man. He's not a defender. They didn't get that big man, and I think that really hurt them, and they're not going to be slowed down enough. I know Chris Paul's good. Blake Griffin's good. They don't play the right system to play in the playoffs. They'll win in the first round, and that's it.
And right now, they're suffering a lot of injuries, too, and their bench is not strong enough. So while they may have great men on the court right now, but, if they're going to bring someone in, change people out, they don't have that bench to come in and support the whole system and the whole operation.
Yeah, I don't think they have a deep enough second unit. The interesting other storyline for me, and this will be interesting to see in the playoffs, is Blake Griffin. Because Griffin gets pushed around.
And he doesn't do anything about it. He just lets them push him around. What did they teach you in grade school? If someone pushes you, you push them back, right?
Really? They taught you that in grade school?
You have to stand up to your bullies.
So you would get in a fight. Okay, if you were at a bar as 23-year-old Ailis and a girl...
I totally get into so many fights.
No, wait a minute. If a girl pushed you at a bar because she was getting a drink or whatever, you'd fight her?
No, I would not fight her.
You'd push her back?
Pull out a pirate sword and start fighting.
I mean, there are men who would pay to watch that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Lots of men. TMZ there with a camera, too.
Okay.
No. But you can't let people shove you around. Even if it wasn't physical, you're not going to let someone walk all over you.
I agree with you on that, and Griffin needs to do that. My question in the playoffs is, you will love playoff basketball because
I like playoff basketball.
It's so physical.
It is. That's why I like it. That's why he has to get physical. He can't just let people push him around and, not get upset, not show emotion. We want to see emotion as fans, as viewers. That's what makes the finals and everything after regular season so great, because it's entertaining. And that's what people are paying for, and that's why people are watching, because they're seeing the best teams go at it.
Well, and my question is, when he gets pushed around, not only what's going to happen, but how does he respond?
Right. Let's see him get ejected.
Well, not in the playoffs. I don't want to see him get ejected in the playoffs.
Not in the playoffs, but before. I want to see some emotion from him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, what should have happened in the regular season was somebody like Kenneth Faried from the Nuggets a couple weeks ago, when Faried pushed Griffin around the entire game, Griffin should have pushed him back, gotten ejected, get a suspension for a game, take it, but send the message that says, you know what, nobody else gets to mess with me. This is it, don't mess with me anymore. He didn't do that with Faried. In the playoffs, somebody is going to push his buttons, whether it's the Rockets, the Spurs, the Thunder, whoever they face, or in the first round with Golden State or whoever, somebody will push his buttons. And how does he respond? Does he drop 25 and 12? Does he get ejected, which would hurt them? Does he go dormant because he doesn't respond well? I mean, how does he respond? And that could be the defining moment of a series. If I'm Golden State in the first round, one of the first things I'm doing is metaphorically hitting Blake Griffin right in the mouth. I mean, metaphorically, not actually physically punching him, but do something. Get right after him, get super physical, and see how he responds. Because if you can mentally take him out, you might actually win that series.
Yeah, and it's a mental game for sure.
That'll be interesting to see. I can't wait for playoff basketball. I know you're just like, get me to baseball already. Enough of this crap.
Well, it's starting, or by the time you guys watch this, it's already started.
It really has been going for a little while. So let's get on baseball now. We're going to move to Northern California for topic 2. The Oakland A's, honestly, my favorite team in California.
I know,
Sorry.
You just have an affinity for them.
I love winning.
We're in SoCal. You need a SoCal team.
Yeah, but
we're wearing Dodger blue.
Well, more like Carolina blue, but whatever. All right.
Duke did lose. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's right. They did lose to Mercer. All right. So moving on. Jarrod Parker for the A's had his second Tommy John surgery. That's right, his second Tommy John surgery in 5 years a couple weeks ago. And the surgery actually went well. It just came out. Then he had it. He came out of it, so that's always good. Here's my question, though. He's a stud. And a very young guy, not unlike on the pitching side, not unlike Mike Trout with the Angels. A young guy who looks very good for a long time. With the second surgery, personal stuff aside, we can talk about Parker's future. What does this mean for the A's this year?
Right. I think this really, really hurts them. He's out. He's not playing this year. He's not pitching for them. And he's the strong guy. He was the guy pulling the team. He was the guy starting for them. So I don't think that they're going to be at the top now. I think the Angels have a great, amazing chance to be the #1 team in the AL West, and the Athletics are going to be a little bit behind them.
What a homer. Picking the Angels.
No, they have a great pitching. Pujols is coming up.
Ooh.
He's coming up. They have a great lineup, and then the pitching now is better. C.J. Wilson. They've added some depth to that, which is what was obviously lacking last year.
You're still paying Joe Blanton money. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You're still paying Joe Blanton money. I think, personally, the Rangers are now the AL West champs, not the Angels. But whatever it is, Oakland is not going to be the AL West champ anymore. If they did, it'd be very surprising. They've got Sonny Gray, great pitcher, extremely young, and he now all of a sudden becomes what, their ace?
Well, yeah, exactly. So now they have all these other pitchers that kind of have to really literally step up to the plate and take on a role that they weren't expecting to take on, or maybe not be mature enough to take on.
This is a huge issue for teams. To go back to the Colorado Rockies. Last year with the Rockies,
it's
always going back to the Rockies.
In terms of baseball, it's going back to the Rockies. In terms of college football, it's always going to go back to Cal.
That's true.
We got to add Pepperdine in there too. For basketball.
So with the Rockies last year, terrible year. Their top 3 starting pitchers were more than good. All had winning records, all had great seasons. Their 4th and 5th starting pitchers were awful, and it cost them the season, whoever started in those slots. The A's have a similar situation with Parker out as #1. Everybody moves up a slot. You've got Sonny Gray potentially as your ace. You've got Scott Kazmir, who's had injury issues, and I don't know how he comes back. And then you've got Dan Strally and Tommy Malone, who are decent enough, but how do they respond to being a 3 and 4? And then to me, the 5th starter now is Jesse Chavez. He's a middle reliever. I don't know that he's going to be able to start 30, 32 games and be productive enough for them. And if you lose too many of those games, you might miss out on either the playoffs or the division or whatever by a game or two, and you're done. It's a tight race here to begin with.
It's a tight race, and it goes to show you how important each pitcher is and how important each slot is and what everybody on the team needs to do to hold their own weight for the team. It's truly teamwork.
And I'm going to stick with the A's as my AL West prediction because, hey, I mean, you stick with the prediction you made, but it ain't looking good. Now, maybe they still get a wild card. Maybe they still get in. Weird stuff happens, whatever.
You can change your prediction before the season starts.
I'm not changing my prediction, and I'll tell you why. A, you stick with your prediction. B, the A's, out of any team, develop players, have a farm system, develop young guys. So there are people ready to take the place. The question is, will they be effective? We shall see. And the other thing with the A's, before we go to Parker personally, the other thing with the A's is this really hurts them because they traded Brett Anderson to the Rockies. I thought you were going to come up on that one.
I don't like saying the Rockies.
They traded Brett Anderson, another starting pitcher to the Rockies, because he was injured all the time, for Drew Pomeranz, a reliever. But God, could they use Brett Anderson right now? That hurts.
Send him back.
Yeah, right. No, we want to keep Brett Anderson. We don't want Pomeranz. I'm not high on Pomeranz, but the A's got Pomeranz and Luke Gregerson additions to the bullpen this year. They're counting on you, guys. The bullpen's going to get taxed. Now, Parker personally.
Get your arm ready. You may be up for some Tommy John surgery after
Get loose. Season. You're going to appear in 75 games this year, fellas. Yeah. now Parker personally, second Tommy John, had it in 2010 as a member of the Diamondbacks organization, now has it again with the A's. 2 Tommy Johns?
Yeah, but look at Brian Wilson. He had 2 Tommy Johns and now he's back, but he's not a starter.
He's not a starter. He's a one-inning guy, and there are huge concerns about whether he can last the whole year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see this year. But that's the thing. I was watching an interview with Oral Hershiser a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, and he, one of the greatest pitchers in the game, and he was saying how nowadays, as a pitcher, you are signing up for surgery.
Yeah.
You are signing up for Tommy John surgery, and what point does the game get so taxing on pitchers and on their arms that they actually have to go in there and change the way the game is played? Now you're signing up for surgery as a pitcher, as a starting pitcher. So at what point are they going to have to, limit the innings that you pitch, maybe only pitch 3 innings as a starter and then bring someone else in?
Yeah.
And really change the way the game is played, because the competitiveness of players and just the way the game evolves and the way bodies evolve and people get better, players are getting better. Players are getting bigger. So that's going to affect the way that you pitch, and so it's going to be more taxing in the future.
I think football's doing the same thing in a different way with concussions. They're trying to change the way the game is played because of an injury, which is concussions. And we look at that and say, well, yeah, concussions are bad. We should change these little rules here and there, and we can debate the rules. But yeah, we should make a change. Baseball, this is a similar situation in a weird way with pitchers' injuries. It is almost automatic. If you make the major leagues and pitch any sort of amount of time in the major leagues, you will have had surgery, whether in college, in the minors, or in the majors, or multiple times,
right,
like Parker and a lot of other guys. I don't know how you would change the rules. You're obviously not going to change 9 innings, 3 outs.
Yeah, you wouldn't change the basic setup.
But I don't know. I don't see teams going and saying, okay, our starters are going to throw 3 innings, or our starters are going to go through the lineup 1 time, and then our first reliever comes in, goes through the lineup once, or like it's a spring training deal, because players will lose money. My theory with this, and it's insane, so I already know that, but my theory is if I were a GM, I would consider getting a bunch of pretty solid pitchers as opposed to a couple great starters. Get a bunch of pretty solid guys, and then let every pitcher go through the lineup once. So the first guy throws 2 or 3 innings, the second guy throws 2 or 3, the third guy throws 2 or 3, and then you go to your relievers, and you do that with them every other day as opposed to once every 5 days. The problem with doing that, it would cut down a little on injuries, I think. The problem with doing that is no player would want to play there, because if you're the first guy, you don't get any wins, you don't get enough numbers, and you can't make money on the next contract.
Well, at that point, you'd have to, that's the point where the game and the way the statistics are done and the way that you evaluate players would have to be changed.
Yeah, I think that's as much as sabermetrics has come in specifically in baseball now. You could, if there's a way to evaluate players differently and do that, then those guys would be more receptive to it, because as long as they're getting paid and they're getting their notoriety, yeah, I think so.
It makes sense, but I think at some point that's going to come up.
I don't know if it'll ever actually.
Not your theory,
yeah,
but the topic of conversation will come up, because it's going to get to that point.
I think we're already at that point. If you really look at the madness of how many people have surgery, they go through a year out. And the Tommy John process is a grueling rehab process. Take it from me, I've seen a lot of guys go through this firsthand as a baseball player myself. Thankfully, I didn't go through it. I narrowly missed it. But I've seen a lot of guys, and I was a pitcher, and I missed it not by much.
Do you ever have any pitching, or not pitching problems, obviously, because you don't pitch anymore, but on your pitching arm, any issues?
No, nothing more now. But
tweaks that you feel, or elbow tendons?
That ulnar collateral ligament, which is the Tommy John ligament, I strained it a bunch, and I can still feel it, and it'll pop and stuff, but it's not for me. But for guys who have had serious ulnar collateral ligament injuries and who've actually torn it as opposed to straining it and almost tearing it, that's a serious rehab process for a year, and it is grueling for these guys.
Yeah.
And I know major league teams are paying them. They have these big contracts. They have state-of-the-art equipment.
Still, it's your body. It hurts.
Exactly. It's something. I think they're to this point already, if we're being honest with ourselves. And I don't know what the solution is besides this 2-inning thing, which will probably never happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is for these guys. Nobody, when you're a competitor, you don't want to pitch just 2 innings. I want to go through the lineup once. You want to pitch 7 or 8 innings.
Look at Kershaw.
Yeah.
He just recently he tweaked his back right above his shoulder, and he said, if he could pitch, if he had to, he would do it, even though he was hurting.
Now, here's my other question before we move on to our final topic. It is a baseball injury question, but Kershaw tweaks his back above his shoulder. How much of that has to do with flying to and from Australia?
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with that. There's tightness in your back when you fly, regardless regardless if you're a regular, normal person, a business person flying, a leisure traveler, or a baseball player.
And I don't care if he's flying first class on a charter flight. It's still uncomfortable to fly across the Pacific Ocean. It's not a comfortable thing. You can give them, British Airways has those seats that recline back. You're still uncomfortable. You're in an airplane seat.
Think about when you sleep for 12 hours straight. You wake up sore, you wake up tired. It's just, you're in the air, the time change. It really does affect the way your body works. Yeah.
So anyways, let's move on to topic number 3. Actually, Kershaw's a good segue because this is a Dodgers topic, but it's the other famous Dodger. I feel like Kershaw and Puig get talked about a lot.
They do.
They should.
Well, they're the biggest people on the team right now. They're
I don't know.
big.
Paco Rodriguez might disagree with you.
They're big because they're big stories, and that's why they get talked about a lot.
I know, but I like Jamie Wright.
Jamie Wright's great.
He is great. He's the best. We should talk about Jamie Wright more. We gave him a shout out a couple weeks ago. He's the best. I love Jamie. Jamie, come on the show. Okay, let's go to Puig because nobody actually cares about Jamie Wright, maybe besides us. Puig and Mattingly may or may not be in some sort of a little dance right now. And Mattingly called him out. a little Cuban salsa. Mattingly called Puig out for laziness and kind of dogging it during spring training. Big surprise. This has happened before. He also called Puig the boy who cried wolf because after he strikes out, Puig will say, oh, my arm hurts or my ankle hurts or something happened. Does this point to a Puig and Mattingly feud this year? And more importantly, how excited are you because they just gave us content all season long?
Yeah. What'd you say? Bring out the popcorn?
Bring out the popcorn.
I love popcorn.
It's going to get interesting. Yeah. Seriously. But I mean, is this a feud?
It's going to be interesting. I think it's a story, and I think that whatever comes out, people will take and, make it seem dramatic. They just had a meeting yesterday with the entire team over this very issue because things were coming up. Players were concerned, and also the language barrier. The English-speaking players don't know how to communicate with Puig, and so he has to rely on the Spanish-speaking players, Henry Ramirez, Uribe, another player, Adrian Gonzalez. So there's other players he has to communicate with to, I guess, get through to the English players, which is great because those players can actually take on the mentor role and mentor him and help him as he matures and evolves with the game. But Mattingly said he was good. He said that he has no issues with Puig, but at the same time, he could just be saying that because he knows how to deal with the press. He's in New York. He knows how to deal with them.
Yeah, that is true. He does know how to deal with the press because of the New York thing. But here's my concern with Mattingly and Puig. Mattingly is Donnie Baseball. He's a pro, man. He's been a pro forever. Puig shows up at spring training 26 pounds overweight.
Right. I don't think he's going to put up with issues like that. I think if they're actual issues that he actually wants to take on, and he's not going to put up with the excuses, with the immaturity and stuff like that. I think that Puig needs to get rid of that. Well,
there's a lot of immaturity, and it's no fault of Puig. He's a young guy. He's new to America. But little leaguers, when little leaguers strike out or they fail in baseball, they will cry, they'll make excuses, they'll get mad, whatever, because they don't know how to deal with failure at that point. Puig is like that, and he's not crying, I assume. But Puig is like that because he doesn't know quite maybe how to deal with failure.
True, and I think this is the year for him to learn that and to learn that now.
And he better.
He started last June. He's had enough time to adjust. What people don't realize, though, is that it does take a long time to adjust to a new culture. You have to think about that, and that's what people forget, and that's what the veterans on the team have said. He comes from a communist country. He comes from a country that's not anything like the United States. And so it's a different type of adjustment. And to be thrown into the spotlight and be given however millions of dollars he was given and all of a sudden go from here to here where everyone's talking about you, I don't think he even comprehends what's going on right now. It's just too big to even understand. And on top of that, with the media going crazy with every little thing that he does, it blows it up into a much bigger story than what it may actually be.
I agree with that, and that is why Juan Uribe is the most important Dodger this year, in a weird way, because Uribe and Puig are buddies. Uribe mentored him last year. He's got to mentor him again this year. I don't think Hanley's probably going to do it as much.
Well, and Hanley also
goes through his own issues. And I don't think Gonzalez is going to do it much. Gonzalez is a leader who reminds me of another Rocky, Todd Helton, just because they're both consummate pros, great baseball players who are just quiet and go about their own business and lead differently.
Yes.
Yeah, and lead differently. They're not going to be rah-rah in your face. They're going to lead by example. Gonzalez isn't going to be a rah-rah guy for Puig. Uribe's got to be that guy. That'll be interesting. But we want to know what you guys think about Mattingly and Puig. What can we expect this year? And really, and we haven't talked about this yet, but it's a whole other topic. What will Puig do this year? He's going to hit 300, 320, 220, go to the minors? I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen with Puig this year. Let's see what he does this year. We want to hear from you guys. So get on Twitter at SoCal Sports TV and tell us what Puig's going to do this year and what this thing with Mattingly is going to be all about.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to keep you updated with all Puig updates, too.
Just like every other media member here in LA.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, guys. I'm Bobby DeMuro with Ailis Garcia. That's all the time we've got on SoCal Sports Report. We will see you guys another week from today.